shall we? Dev Insights, the final shape, abilities tuning preview. Hey folks, Combat Gameplay Team here for a rundown of ability changes coming with the launch of the final shape in just a few short weeks. As a warning, this will be one of the largest balance patches in recent years, so you might want to settle in for a long read. Here's a brief overview of what we'll be covering. Updates to large portion of Stasis ability suite, including a new keyword, Frost Armor, the near future of Well of Radiance, Ward, and Ward of Dawn in the final shape, subclass by subclass breakdown of balance, changes to abilities, aspects, fragments, including but not limited to those included with Prismatic. Ooh boy. Stasis subclass. Let's start with Stasis. Shortly after the release of Stasis, we shifted focus back to the back-to-back launch of the Bungie 30th Anniversary Pack and Void 3.0, and we haven't really let up on the gas since. As a result, other than small changes we've been able to make here and there, it's been difficult to evaluate the relationship between Stasis and our other damage types and make larger feature-level updates to it. This was something we wanted to change with the final shape. In particular, we wanted to upgrade the Stasis Shard Overshield that lived on the fringes of the damage type to make it a full-on keyword that we could incorporate into abilities, armor, or weapon perks. Okay. Frost Armor is a stacking buff that reduces incoming damage with greater damage reduction as your stack increases. At launch, Frost Armor will be granted from a variety of sources, including Tectonic, Grim, Glacial Harvest aspects, fragments, and exotic armor. By default, you can get up to a maximum of 5 stacks of Frost Armor that lasts 9 seconds, but with the newly reworked Whisper of Rime fragment, Frost Armor's maximum life can be increased to 13 seconds and can build to a maximum of 8 stacks. Unlike Stasis Shard Overshield, Frost Armor remains active when your super is cast, though its effectiveness is slightly lower when it's active. So, Frost Armor keyword, you're fortified by layers of durable stasis matter, reducing incoming damage. Frost Armor resistance grows stronger as you gain additional stacks, reduces damage from PvP combatants by 4.5% per stack. So what? Let me put that in my calculator real quick. Calculator, max of 13 stacks with that, times 4.5. That means you can get up to 58.5% damage reduction if you have Whisper of Rime. But if you just do the basic 9 seconds it can last for, Wait. I think I did the math wrong. I did the math wrong. Hold on. So if it's 4.5% a stack, and it's a max of 8 stacks on that, you get 36. Then 4.5 times 5 is 22. Alright. And then enemy players 2% per stack. Whisper of Rime rework no longer grants a Stasis Overshield when collecting Stasis Shard. Now increases the maximum duration and stack count of Frost Armor. One long-standing piece of feedback we've received is that Stasis Shards felt too limited, requiring a specific aspect to generate. Because Stasis Shards are created for all allied players at once rather than being a shared consumed resource like Tangles or a local only resource like Fire Sprites, Ionic Traces, or Void Breaches, it would be easy for the number of Stasis Shards on the field to spiral out of control if we were to make their creation intrinsic to the damage type. Instead, we're increasing the number of sources that players can build into to generate them, more on this shortly, and increasing their value when collected with a harvest aspect. When Tectonic, Grim, or Glacial Harvest is equipped, in addition to their previous behavior, collecting any Stasis Shard now grants a small amount of health and a stack of Frost Armor. Alongside this increased potency, we're also implementing a shared cooldown on rapid Stasis Shard creation. This cooldown is intended to be pretty generous and primarily limits cases of oppressive behavior like triple behemoth trial squads. All harvest aspects added new behavior. Yeah. Alright. Tectonic Harvest now creates a Stasis Shard when shattering a frozen target, in addition to shattering Stasis Crystals. Okay. Our intention is that Frost Armor can be granted through a variety of sources. As part of this, we've updated Renewal Grass and Baldur's Wrath Weavers to directly grant Frost Armor rather than their own custom damage resist or Stasis Shard Overshield. Renewal Grasp. On entering your Dusk Field, grenade volume, you and your allies gain a stack of Frost Armor about every 0.9 seconds. While in there, you gain an additional Frost Armor stack, resetting your timer. Wrath Weavers replace Stasis Shard Overshield with Frost Armor when you activate your Rift or use Winter's Wrath Shatter attack. To help increase players' capabilities to generate Stasis Shards, create a brand new fragment that offers a straightforward method that can slot into many different types of builds. Whisper of Chill, Stasis Weapon Final Blows have a chance. Yeah, alright. So it's just like the one arc thing that has a chance to generate Ionic Traces. Okay. As part of this effort, we've also reworked Whisper of Chains. Fragment has been a popular choice since its inception due to its ease of use, stat bonus. Alright. I'm just kind of curious. It would take forever to read everything, and I want to get to playing. So let's just take a look at changes. That's marked by the little dot there. Whisper of Chains no longer grants passive damage resist when near a Stasis Crystal or frozen target. Now grants a chance to create a Stasis Shard when defeating a target while you have one or more stacks of Frost Armor. Whisper of Fractures no longer increases melee energy when surrounded by enemies. Now grants a stack of Frost Armor when you shatter any frozen target with a melee attack. Whisper of Torment, grenade energy gains are no longer dependent on your current health value. Base grenade energy generation amount per incoming damage event increased from 5% to 7%, while you have Frost Armor energy per damage event increases from 7 to 12%. Ooh. Finally, we created one more brand new Stasis Fragment. Whisper of Reversal is a close combatant tool for Frost Armor users, adding chances for additional crowd control if you're willing to take the risk. While you have Frost Armor, dealing or receiving physical melee, i.e. not projectile melee, damage slows your victim or attacker. Okay. Stasis Shatter, increase base PvP shatter damage from 200 to 400. Wow, that's a big increase. Wow, doubling it. Fixed an issue. Warlock, Ice Flare bolts increase number of Seekers created before going on cooldown from 5 to 7. Okay. Hunter, Winter Shroud add a new behavior. Slowing targets briefly increases your class ability. Regenerate bonus is reduced in PvP game modes. Yeah. Now grants PvE damage reduction when activated. Touch of Winter, Glacial Grenade, add an additional Stasis Crystal to the ring formation, increasing count from 6 to 7. Glacier Grenade Ring now forms over 0.27 seconds rather than instantly. Cold Snap Grenade no longer chains an additional time while Touch of Winter is equipped. Instead, Seekers now duplicate when they freeze a target. Second and third Seeker chains now create a medium and large stasis crystal respectively, rather than every chain creating a small crystal. Silence and Squall increase Squall maximum travel speed by 10%. Squall Storm now slows down when any target is within its area of effect to reduce instances where it could overshoot its target. Increase damage and slow tick rate versus PvE combatants by about 40%, bringing its freeze time from approximately 0.8 seconds to 0.5. Titan Shiver Strike increase PvE damage versus PvE combatants by 10%, increase size of melee target search area cone by about 50%, increase maximum lunge tracking angular speed from 7 degrees per second to 21. Wow. Glacial Quake now automatically begins sprinting when the player throttles forward. Cryoclasm removes sprint time requirement. Cryoclasm now goes on cooldown for 4 seconds after one extended slide. Increased throw diamond lance detonation radius from 3.5 meters to 5 meters. Increased diamond lance slam detonation from 6.75 to 8 meters versus PvE combatants. Diamond lance now shatters stasis crystals on direct impact. Reduced diamond lance pickup interaction time from 0.2 to 0.1. Increased diamond lance pickup interaction radius from 0.7 to 3 meters. Wow. Well of Radiance and the Ward of Dawn. Well of Radiance now grants Radiant for 8 seconds when players exit Well of Radiance area. Reduced player survivability while standing in the Well of Radiance aura. Reduced healing per second from 100 to 50. They're halving our health regen, matching restoration times 2. Increased heal on cast from 400 to 300. Reduced damage resistance versus non-boss combatants from 40 to 20%. Reduced damage resist versus boss combatants from 40% to 10%. Increase maximum orbs of power from defeating targets while in well from 4 to 5. Ward of Dawn, Armor of Light removed. Armor of Light Overshield. Ward of Dawn now immediately applies a full Void Overshield to the caster and allies that enter its dome. Armor of Light now instead grants additional damage resistance to players inside Ward of Dawn. 30% versus enemy players and 60% versus enemy combatants. Effective health of players inside Ward remains roughly the same as it was before versus PvE. Significantly lower in PvP, wow. And cannot be further increased by stacking Bastion barricades. Allies near the Ward of Dawn dome now have Void Overshield trickled on over time, similar to the volume behind a Bastion barricade. No longer provide weapons of light by default. This behavior has been moved to the benefit of Helm of Saint 14. The Ward of Dawn caster can now generate additional orbs of power by defeating enemies with melee attacks in or near their Ward of Dawn dome. Arc subclasses: Hunter, Arc Staff, Heavy Palm Strike attacks and Heavy Air Slam blind enemies. Disorienting Blow, decrease base cooldown time from 100 seconds to 90 seconds. Tempest Strike added additional damage resist versus PvE combatants. Warlock, Lightning Surge added additional damage resist Ball Lightning increase the final arming shape by 30%. Okay. Chain Lightning increased secondary chain projectile damage from 27 to 54. Titan Thunderclap added damage resist versus PvE combatants. Increase minimum damage, increase maximum damage, increase max damage. Knockout increased bonus damage granted to powered melee attacks versus PvE combatants to 50%. Wow. Reworked healing behavior, no longer unstuns health regen on melee default. Now instantly grants a chunk of healing that scales with the type of target. Player 30 health points, minor combatant 50, major combatant 75, champ plus combatant 100 health. Touch of Thunder, Storm Grenade, increased gain travel speed when targeting PvE combatants by between 0.5 and 1 meters per second, increasing with the storm's lifetime. Torch of Thunder, Lightning Grenade now applies Jolt after the first damage event rather than prior. Storm Grenades increase damage versus PvE combatants by 20%. Skip Grenade increased damage versus PvE combatants by 15%. Arc Bolt Grenade increased damage versus PvE combatants by 15%. Arc Fragments, Spark a Recharge ability regen bonus now persists until player returns to full shield rather than deactivating as soon as shield begins to recharge. Ooh, okay. Spark a Beacons now also... Oh, yeah, no, one of my other friends that has the account, she didn't tell me that she was in Texas because she's going to Ohio. So, that was a fun conversation with her. Yeah, no, I just immediately asked you, TJ. I know, not Ohio. But, I asked you because the last time someone logged in from some random out-of-state location, it was you up in, like, Alabama. Spark of Beacons now also... Go down! Now also triggers on defeating targets with arc power ammo weapons while amplified. Spark of Frequency now also grants 15 weapon stability on powered melee hit in addition to its reload. Solar Lightweight Knife now has 2 charges by default. New York and something like that. I know you were somewhere and I got confused. Reduce suppression time between throws so both knives can be thrown very quickly. Okay. Ah, dang it. It doesn't stack with Ophidia's Space. Knock him down. Reduced internal cooldown on throwing knife refund from 1 second to 0.2. Golden Gun, reduce strength of orbs of power created on precision hit. When hitting non-boss enemies, reduce strength from 0.5 to 0.75 to 0.5 of a normal super orb of power. When hitting boss enemies, reduce strength from 0. Reduce strength from 0.75 to 0.4 of a normal super orb of power. When hitting boss enemies while Star Eater is equipped, it only goes down to 0.35. Yeah. Concentration Slam Attack can now shatter stasis crystals. Conditions generated by concentration now deal 20% additional damage. Fixed an issue. Hammer of Soul increased projectile submunition count when Sol Invictus is not equipped as follows. Projectile detonates within the first 0.7 seconds of its lifetime and now creates 4 shrapnel submunitions up from 3. Projectile detonates after the first 0.7 seconds of its lifetime, now creates 6 shrapnel up from 5. Alright. Swarmnade increased tracking shape size from 4 to 6. Linger duration from 7 to 8 to 10 to 11. Wow. Increased damage versus PV combines by 20%. Okay. Void subclass, Hunter, Snare Bomb, increased linger duration of smoke after detonation from 3 to 5. Now apply small damage over time to enemies in smoke, which increases in strength the longer they remain. Trapper's Ambush, increased linger duration of smoke after detonation from 4.5 to 6. Now apply Snare Bomb's damage over time to enemies caught in its smoke. Fixed an issue where Trapper's Ambush smoke effects could be obstructed by ground geometry. Stylish Executioner's Weaken effect can now be applied by glaive melee attacks. Ooh, okay. Shield Throw, increased maximum bounce count from 4 to 5. Increased maximum lifetime from 3 to 4. Now increase tracking shape size and strength after each bounce, increasing its ability to consistently find a new target. Slightly increased gravity and decreased thrust speed with each bounce. Increased damage versus PvE targets by 20%. Offensive Bulwark can now only extend Void's Overshield timer to its normal maximum duration to prevent an issue where players could get into a bad timer state. Now regens a small portion of your active Void Overshield with each melee defeat. Warlock, Chaos Accelerant, Charge Magnetic Grenade. Intensity of Physics knockback impulse by 10%. Increased damage versus PvE combines by 20%. Now passively decreases your magnetic grenade's cooldown by 10% while it's equipped. Pocket Singularity, increased detonation damage versus PvE combines by about 50%. Wow. Wow. Nova Bomb Cataclysm variant, increased Seeker count from 4 to 6. Fixed an issue where Seekers could impact the environment on creation. Increased Vortex Linger duration from 7 to 10. Fixed an issue where the linger visual effects were shutting off early. Strand. Threat of Warning, reduced Woven Mail duration, and Orbit Power pickup from 10 to 5. You're mean for that. Hunter, Ensnaring Slam detonation volume versus enemy players is now a cylinder with a 6.5 meter radius rather than just a sphere with an 8 meter radius. This results in fewer instances of victims correctly attempting to counterplay by a jumping but being caught by the Ensnaring Slam detonation up high in the air. Threaded Spike, reduced damage versus enemy players from 79 to 70. Catching Threadling Spike no longer breaks invisibility. Warlock, Weaver's Call added new behavior, defeating target with strand damage. Now has a chance to generate a perched Threadling with a higher chance of generation from defeating more powerful targets. Okay, this damage can be from any source, including other Threadlings. Okay, I like that. Grapple Tangles and melee. Grapple Tangles no longer fully refresh their duration when grappled to. Now increase their duration by a max of 5 seconds per grapple, reducing to a maximum of 1 second added after 5 consecutive grapples to the same grapple tangle. Titan into the fray, reduce melee energy regen scaler from 4 to 3 times in PvE activities, unchanged in PvP. Banner of War, reduced maximum timer from 30 to 24. Melee, Glaive, Melee, and Super Damage bonus now have diminishing returns with Synthoceps as follows. Melee damage bonus decreased from 1.4 to 1.15. Glaive melee bonus decreased from 1.25 to 1.125. Super bonus decreased from 1.4 to 1.2. Melee and Glaive melee damage bonus now have diminishing returns with Worm God Caress 2. Decreased from melee bonus decreased from 1.4 to 1.1. Glaive melee decreased from 1.4 to 1.05. Frenzied Blade reduced the forward offset for melee lunge target point from 0.4 to 0.18. And that is everything. Some big changes here, you know, got of course nerfs to Banner of War. The most shocking part of this, I feel like, is the absolute murder of Well of Radiance. That is the most shocking part of this. That is the most shocking part. It'll be fun to see how the meta changes, though. Will be fun.